All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come up here to the Google Apps icon. We're gonna click on that. Now Forms isn't part of the default grouping, so we just come down to More, we find Forms, and we click on it. What's great about Google Apps is that they try to standardize a lot of the interface components of each of their apps, and Google Forms is no different. We have our toolbar up here with a search option for us to search for quizzes or forms that we've created. We have a new form or new quiz option, quick access, I should say, that allows us to pre-generate a quiz based on a template that Google has provided, as well as we can see some recent documents that we've worked on, or I should say forms that we've worked on. I'm going to start with the blank quiz to show you some of the functions that a quiz has. So I'm going to select quiz. And so we have our kind of toolbar header at the top. We have colors. We can adjust what it looks like. We can take a preview of what the quiz looks like by clicking that. It opens up in a new tab, so I'll just close that out. And we can have some settings for the quiz. I'm going to dive right in here so I can explain some of the options. So the first thing I like to do is collect email addresses, and I like to send response receipts to students. And I usually select always. Another thing I like to do is to limit the response for a quiz. Students shouldn't be able to take the quiz multiple times unless that's an option that you want them to have. Additionally, I'll leave these last two options unchecked because I don't want them to be able to edit after they've submitted or to see any charts or text responses after they've submitted a quiz. Under presentation, I'm going to show shuffle. I'm going to select shuffle question order so that the students get different questions in different order as they take them individually. Again, I can adjust the confirmation message. It's just a default, your message has been recorded, but you can say, thank you for taking the quiz. I will, provide your scores, in the next few days, something along those lines. And under quizzes, it's important to make sure some of the items are checked. So what I like to do is select later after manual review. If I plan to have any short answer or open response questions, this is really key because you can't really provide a score for an open response question or have the computer provide a score for an open response question because it's hard to gauge what the correct answer would be in an open response. So students might get partial credit, they might get full credit, or no credit. So it's important to select manual review so that way we can look at the quizzes as they come in and to assign the values as we need to. So I'm going to select save. And now I'm back to editing my quiz. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this. So we'll do Quiz 1 American Revolution. It says this is automatic collecting addresses for North Reading Public School users, so we're all set there. That's great. First question is going to be, what was the first battle of the American Revolution? And then I have my 4 options that students can check. I can change if you go back. Under here we have answer key. I can select answer key, and I can select which option is the correct option. You can see the check mark here. I can also set point values for what this question is worth, and I can even add answer feedback. So if students select incorrect response, I can have a feedback that's generated for those students, as well as a link to additional information. For those students that do get correct, I can have a congratulatory statement or no feedback, as well as I can also provide a link here too. So the next thing I do is I'm going to add another question. And here we'll say name one of the 3 midnight riders who warned colonists of British troop movements. British troop movement. And this would be short answer, paragraph to allow them a little bit longer. We'll do short answer. And so there is, 3 people that they could choose from, and we could assign the correct answers here, but I'm not going to because I want to show you how to score a question in the responses category. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to preview this so that we have a response. So I'm going to say Paul Revere because we all know Paul Revere was one of the 3. I'm going to select option 3 to show you what a wrong option would look like. What you see here is what the students would see, so we can see what the point values are. We can see a copy will be emailed to myself, and then I can select submit. All right, so we'll go back to the quiz, we can see we have a response already. Come up here, we can see a bunch of statistics about the quiz. I can see the score so far, and we can see that none have been released. So what we have to do now is we have to go in and score the quiz for each student. Or if you're just doing a multiple choice quiz, you don't have to do this. You can just have Google Forms automatically grade the quizzes as long as you provide the correct answers. But for open response questions, it's harder. So I select option 2 was the correct answer. So those are incorrect, so I don't get points for those. But Power Reviewer is correct here. It'll say it's wrong because we didn't assign a correct answer, but that's okay. So we'll go ahead and give full credit for that because that was one of the options. And then I can go through any other questions that I need to score. And then finally I can go up here, release score, which means I've graded the student. I come up here, send emails, and release. So now I have sent my students their grades. So how do we get the form into our students' hands? Well, under send up here, we have a bunch of options. We can have it sent by email. We can provide a link in the Google Classroom. So we just copy this link, paste it into Google Classroom. That would work. Or we can embed it somewhere else. The link I find is the best option, and so it's easy enough to get the link. I use URL shortener because it shortens to this option here, and then we just copy it and paste it where we want. I hope you've enjoyed today's session on Google Forms, and I look forward to seeing you at a future PD session. Take care, everyone.